We don't focus on, specific gender roles, meaning the women should just do one thing and then the men should just do one thing. It's a team effort.
I can't even visualize myself, without Cory. I see Cory as my partner in crime. It's like, I'm not doing this alone.
Mowry and Cory Hardrict getting a divorce was not on anybody's bingo card for 2022 because we all thought that they were endgame. But taking a look at their marriage, we have to admit that there were some major red flags that more or less doomed the marriage before it even began. Why was Tia so disgusted with Cory when they first met? Was Cory really a scammer before he met Tia? And why do people believe that Cory only used Tia for her money and fame? It is no longer news that Tia Mowry and her husband of 14 years are getting a divorce. For those who haven't heard, Tia posted the announcement on Instagram saying, "I have always been honest with my fans, and today is no different. I wanted to share that Cory and I have decided to go our separate ways. These decisions are never easy, and not without sadness. We will maintain a friendship as we co-parent our beautiful children. I am grateful for all the happy times we had together and want to thank my friends, family, and fans for your love and support as we start this new chapter moving forward in our lives." Of course, this was a shock because Tia and Cory were the perfect example of a happy family. But in the days following the divorce, we have taken a critical look at their marriage and realized that things were not always what they seemed to be online. While Tia and Cory always referred to each other as best friends, soulmates, and all that, their marriage was 50-50ths from the very start. First is the fact that the relationship did not exactly start on the very best terms. At the time they started dating, Cory was heavily in debt, and not just to anybody, he owed lots of money to the government of the state of California. Cory had grown up in Chicago before leaving for Los Angeles to pursue his dreams of being an actor. But we all know how hard it is to get a big break in Hollywood, and Cory learned this the hard way. While waiting for his career to pick up, he took up a job at a local Kmart. But it was a minimum wage job, and Los Angeles is an incredibly expensive city to live in. So he started getting an unemployment check from the state of California. But he was not qualified for unemployment benefits because, well, he was not unemployed. When the state found out that Cory had been duping them, they asked him to refund the money. But he didn't because his career had not yet taken off, and he was still broke. After a while, the government took him to court where he was ordered to pay more than $3,000 in repayments. But he didn't pay it for years, and the debt started accumulating interest. It was during this time that Cory met Tia, and their first meeting was not a fairy tale. Tia revealed that she was not attracted to Cory when she first saw him, and she was turned off by his appearance on the first day that they met on set. Cory, on the hand, was embarrassed when he met Tia and her sister, Tamara, who were working on the movie together. They were successful black actresses, and he was an upcoming actor who was still broke and heavily in debt. When they finished shooting on the first day, they offered to give him a ride home because he didn't have a car. When Cory started pursuing Tia, she was not convinced that he really liked her, and a part of her believed that the only reason he was pursuing her is that she was successful and he wanted to mooch off of her. We can all agree that this type does not bode well for a marriage, and this was a major red flag that maybe they shouldn't have been together in the first place. Then there's also the fact that Tia had lived her life by the books and had done everything to stay on the right side of the law. Cory, on the other hand, had broken the law and had scammed the state government of thousands of dollars, which he didn't even try to pay back. Both of them were like night and day, and it was a wonder that the marriage even managed to last long. Anyways, Tia managed to get over her initial reservations regarding Cory, and they got married in 2008. And throughout their 14-year-long marriage, they managed to convince the world that they were perfect together, and people bought their acts of togetherness. For example, Tia revealed in 2021 how she and Cory managed to keep their marriage going great.
What makes your marriage, a great marriage? And if I'm being really honest with you, and we've been doing this for years, we don't focus on, specific gender roles, meaning the women should just do one thing and then the men should just do one thing. It's a team effort at our house.
But that was not the only time that they gushed about how perfect their marriage was, because in another interview, Tia spoke about how she never had to do anything alone, how he was her best friend, and how she couldn't imagine her life without Cory in it.
I see Cory as my partner in crime. It's like, I'm not doing this alone. Man, like, you really are my best friend. I can't even visualize myself, without Cory.
But it turns out that she was probably lying through her teeth because her marriage already had fractures at the time. It was so bad that they were barely spending any time together, and they had to schedule intimate times, or else they wouldn't find time to be intimate with each other. In a podcast with Heidi Murkoff, Tia revealed that she and Cory had to schedule intimate times, saying, "This is the first time where I'm admitting it. And when I was younger, and when I would hear that, I'd be like, why do you have to do that? But like you said, you do, especially with kids and with work and all that. You have to make sure that it's not neglected in any kind of way." While she claimed that it worked works for her. Some experts suggest otherwise and claim that scheduling intimacy in a marriage or relationship can lead to the intimacy becoming boring or just another chore to check off on the to-do list. Her statement came off as her trying to defend her marriage and convince the world that things were perfect between them. Oh, and if this sounds bad, it gets even worse from here, because not only do they have to schedule their intimacy, but they also do not have the privacy that a couple needs to truly flourish. In another interview, Tia revealed that she co-slept with her children, and while co-sleeping is common among parents, Tia's co-sleeping relationship with her kids went on for a little longer than most people would consider typical. In an interview, she revealed that her first child, Cree, co-slept with her and Cory until he was 4 years old. The only reason she stopped is that she gave birth to her daughter, Caro, when Cree was 4 years old, and Caro took Cree's place in their parents' bed. She said, "Well, my 1-year-old is still in my bed. Ever since she was born, she was always in our bed, and my son was in our bed until he was 4. My husband's fine with it. If he was not fine with it, then maybe we would have had to have a discussion, but he is so cool with it." She revealed that her mom was not in support of the idea of co-sleeping with her kids when they were no longer babies. She said, she's like, "You need to do the cry-out method and put your baby in a crib." And I'm like, no, I don't want my baby to have any sign of stress whatsoever. Tia was trying to be a great mom to her kids, but this inevitably made her marriage worse. Between scheduling intimacy and having the kids in bed with them, it kind of becomes obvious that they really didn't have much time to be a couple. And while they posted cute pictures and videos on Instagram, this just kind of suggests that it was only a matter of time before things completely fell apart between them. But one of the biggest red flags about their marriage that kind of just shows how bad things had gotten is what happened when she was thinking about having a third child. She admitted that she had spoken to a therapist about whether or not she wanted one, and they had discussed the pros and cons of her having a third child, especially since she was diagnosed with endometriosis, which made things a bit complicated. But the weird thing about her desire for a third child is that she never talked about it with Cory, who she was going to have the child with. Once again, this kind of shows that there was already a rift in the marriage where Tia did not feel comfortable enough to talk to her husband of many years. Considering the fact that they were so busy and didn't even have the privacy to talk about serious adult conversations like this. So with all this, it's not really that big of a surprise that they filed for divorce, because their marriage was more or less doomed from the very start, and it's no small miracle that they managed to make things work for so long. In addition to all this, people have pointed out that Cory never seemed to have the same level of attachment as Tia had for him. Lots of people have pointed out that he sometimes came off as detached towards Tia, with someone saying, "You gotta leave the broke, struggling men alone." Cory always seemed indifferent toward Tia, and she the opposite. She was so enthusiastic and showed love and care for him. "I just never saw the same spark in Cory for Tia at all." Another person said, "It was too good to be true for Tia and Cory to have a perfect marriage. 9 out of 10, there's something going on in someone's marriage." And this other person said, "I've never heard of letting a baby sleep in mom and dad's bed working out well. Not for the marriage or the kids. It's too much." Tia's marriage definitely had a good run, but then all things must come to an end, and she certainly seems to be happy with her decision. If you loved watching this video, then you're going to enjoy this other one even more.